And we're back. Hello, everyone out there.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to all of you. It's time for another episode of Fatherly Fandom. And today, I myself, Matt, first of his name, House Parham, and Christopheles down there,
Mm-hmm.
first of his name, right? House Matthews.
Yeah, I believe so.
You can't
I'm
tell.
not the
We've got
second
our
of my
robes
name.
on. We're going to be getting into it, reviewing House of the Dragon, Episode 3, here in just 13 seconds.
Welcome, everybody, to Fatherly Fandom.
That is right.
We're robing it
We,
today. We're robing it.
yep, we have got the robes going because
Mm.
we felt like doing so. After you watch House of the Dragon, you get sort of that vibe like, I kind of do want to just sit around in kingly nature and
And this is
sip
water,
wine.
not wine.
Yeah.
All night, just stoop on your stand there, sit on your throne seat while everybody converses, and just drink away.
Yeah. It was funny. During this episode, I actually did find myself thinking, like, it's kind of a weird goblet he's got there. It's like
It was.
octagonal
It
in shape.
was.
Yeah, I was
It's
like,
very
is that
rough.
actually? No wonder he's spilling it all over
I
himself, you
know.
know?
Not very kingly, if you ask me. So let's
Yeah,
go over to the title sequence here for our House of Dragons episode. I'll just flip over, blip, just like that. All right, we'll be watching Game of Thrones.
titled Second of His Name.
Second of his name. Bum, bum, bum. And
So, and it's
who does that refer to? That refers to what? The time jump. We got a new
well, really,
baby.
we have got a lot of metaphor going in here.
So
So
much.
that the title could be a metaphor in of itself. Is it referring to Damon? Is it referring to Aegon?
Yeah.
Well,
Is Damon the
so
second of his name though? I think Aegon is the second of his
well,
name.
because I mean,
Yeah.
if you count the first son that died the day he was born, then yeah.
True, true. Well, there's a
But,
well, like what was the original son? Was he going to be called Aegon as well?
oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because there was Aegon the Conqueror way back in the day, and that was so the second of the name
Yeah,
was for Alicent's Hightower's firstborn son, so as it were.
yeah. Who knows? Too much to keep track of, and that is my main thing that I noticed in this episode is it was cram packed full of plot.
So much, and sometimes like again, like we've talked about it time and time again. You can have I mean, we did get a little bit of action in this episode.
Oh man, this kind of action level is usually reserved for what we call the penultimate episodes of a season of
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Usually, it's
Hmm.
tradition. Every single season, the second to last episode, no matter how many episodes there were in that particular season,
Yeah.
would have the big set piece battle sequence.
Right.
And here we get it, episode 3. And that's not to say in Game of Thrones there weren't battle sequences in a lot of other episodes. There were, because they like to break their own traditions sometimes.
Yeah.
But here, House of the Dragon is establishing itself as a series that will pace its own story without really regard to how stories were paced in Game of Thrones. So it's
Right.
kind of interesting.
And with $20 million per episode, I mean, it's again like these incredible budgeted
Oh yeah,
shows. It's insane. We did that with Rings of Power yesterday, but yeah, it's just amazing the amount of money that they're putting into these shows, and it is
yeah.
it's showing, and it's
Well,
fantastic.
one of the coolest shots that I liked from this episode
Hmm.
was, because they do such a good job of pairing practical and CGI effects in Game of Thrones. They always have.
Hmm.
And one of the shots that I really loved was the battle going on in the background.
Hmm.
As they were talking, you see the ships kind of sailing
Oh
by, the
yeah,
cannonballs
blowing
launching out,
up,
and
and yeah,
yeah, yeah, one
I
of the
was
ships
so
gets
interested
hit.
in that too. Yeah.
I know, and I'm like, man, that's just such an interesting
Hmm.
way of showing. Like, we don't often get
Yeah.
that. Like you can see the battle unfolding and
Yeah.
different things happening and the ship slowly catching fire and just all of this going on while they give a very grim speech on that bluff
Yeah.
overlooking the whole thing. So
Yeah.
it was a great juxtaposition to show like what's happening with these poor soldiers because we've had a time jump here.
Yep.
We've
As
had
I
time
talked
jump
about,
now.
I said we were gonna
What's
have.
that?
As I talked about last episode, we got a time jump. We're gonna see another one. This one was 3 years. There were 6 months
Yeah.
between episode 1 and 2, and between 2 and 3, it's been 3 years, and it's probably gonna be even longer the next time around. So
Yeah, which it's amazing because again, they in doing that, they have to catch the audience up.
yeah.
So there's a lot of exposition about what's
Hmm.
been going on, where the characters are at, and
Right.
sometimes that ring a little false.
Yeah.
When you have characters just like randomly spilling out facts about things that's happened. But I don't think that it was a detriment to this episode. I think that they did fairly well of kind of bringing you up to speed with the characters' comments and stuff. But I also think that they actually did a fairly decent job with the makeup effects and making everybody look just a couple years older.
Yeah.
Like for the most part,
Hmm.
when time jumps like this happen
Hmm.
in other shows, somebody's wearing a different hat.
Yeah.
Like that's all that happens. People look exactly the same age, but I really think that they put a little bit more lines on some of the younger characters' faces, and you could tell there was some thought.
There's a lot of detail in there too. I like when Viserys is on his seat during the hunt and everything, and he's drinking all that wine. You see his glove doesn't look quite right, and I looked at it like when I was watching it the first time, and I was like, what's going on with this guy's glove? But then you see later on that he's actually missing his two fingers, the ones that were rotting in the last episode that we saw. So it made sense. Like even that small little details right there in those
Yeah.
scenes earlier too. So you definitely see they put a lot of detail into the costuming, into the makeup of these characters to try to make them look older. And yeah, I thought I was going to have more of a problem with this time jump specifically, because I'm like, whoa, let's slow down a bit. Let's simmer into the story and get to know these characters, because I really do like the actors that we have, and those, unfortunately, get ready for this. We're going to be losing some of those actors pretty soon, and they're going to be replaced with older actors. There's a few of them that we're just going to have. So it's going to be completely different actors. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I just want to savor the cast that we have right now. So I had a little bit of hesitancy with that, but I was glad to see everybody return for this one. So it wasn't as much of a problem. I don't know if it will be more of a problem later on down the road, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's yet to be seen. And I'm worried about that same thing.
Mhm.
Just we have started to really get attached to these characters, the actors portraying them, and enjoying their performances.
Yeah.
How is it going to be abrupt? Is it going to be just kind of, jarring
Yeah.
as an audience member trying to accept somebody else in these roles so
Right.
quickly?
So quick.
And for me, that does feel like something that Game of Thrones took too far in especially the last season. They went through a large amount of time,
Hmm.
and I don't think it gave enough weight to what was really happening. And I think it was a detriment to that final season to some extent.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that the story that they're telling in this first season doesn't just feel rushed after a while.
I hope
Are
so
we just
too.
getting too much too soon?
Yeah, and knowing some of the history now, like I know a lot of the history behind this stuff in the Targaryen history, and I know where the show is heading. And if you don't, then hold on, because there's definitely going to be
Yeah.
some serious drama heading our way for
But
this. And this episode,
doesn't it just seem like we are
yeah,
steamrolling right to that ending?
but yeah, and
Like,
this episode is definitely moving those pieces into those positions and solidifying the characters that we're actually seeing. And by the end of this episode, what you get is each character has grown into the archetype of what they are going to be. Rhaenyra coming back from the boar, like coming back from killing that boar, covered in blood. and she's now determined to be queen. She's very confident now, and it kind of confirms that with that white stag that they see in the Kingswood as well, which obviously they didn't get for the hunt. They just got a very big stag, and that kind of led Viserys to think like, reaffirm his belief that, he was right about Rhaenyra being queen,
Yeah.
and sticking to that commitment as well. And to me, I see her act of not killing that stag at that end is Rhaenyra knows that she's meant to be queen now, but she doesn't have to prove it to anybody either. So she's only to herself, and it's her validation in that moment, and she has a new resolve once she returns to the camp. I mean, covered in blood. I love that. And if you look,
Right.
and there's a parallel too with the story that's going on with Damon Targaryen as well, and he goes through his own crucible in this episode as well. And if you noticed, he was also drenched in blood as he went through that as well. So he essentially tries to sacrifice himself rather than, have help from his brother, the King Viserys. And so he goes out there and, basically takes on the crab feeder by himself there, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I gotta say though, one thing they've established as being a set rule through both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, probably just the fact that George R. R. Martin hates messengers. Like whoever
Oh
is going to
man,
be delivering
poor guy.
messages.
Yeah, I knew it right away that guy was going to get killed because they showed
Yeah,
a close up of that actor. He's like, "Yes, my lord, I will take this note to him." And every time they do something like that, somebody
yeah,
that kisses up to the king, you know they're gonna get it. And I love Matt Smith's portrayal too when he's reading that and just smiling. And just how fast he turns around and just brutally pummels him with that's his helmet, right? That he used.
yeah,
It was insane. And like if you take note now too, because we hear whenever we're watching Game of Thrones, we've always heard about like the Mad King and the madness that goes along with the Targaryens. And we're definitely seeing that with Damon Targaryen's his character and everything. And it's like everybody, like even in that beginning shot where like the guy is pinned to the ground and everybody's like, it's like, oh, my savior and everything, and he just comes with his dragon and just stomps on him. Just no thought of the common people no regard whatsoever. And this guy can just go from being very cordial and nice to just being a psychopath in moments and just doing whatever he needs to get what he wants. And so it's very interesting that we're seeing this with this character. And again, knowing some of the stuff that I do know, and I know some people out there probably know what I'm talking about, it makes a lot of sense for what we see later on too, and what they eventually have to deal with in the characters and what the Targaryen family is like later on in the series.
It's laced with metaphor.
Yeah.
It's laced with prophecy, like Viserys says himself.
Yeah.
To me, he was the standout of this episode.
Absolutely, I agree.
Constantine, he nailed every scene that he was in. I mean, the anguish, that whole, heavy is the head that wears the crown, saying is so on display. Like he hates his job. He hates having to answer to his decisions. He hates that he has to go along with all these politicians. He even, I believe, hates that he had to kill the elk or the stag. I guess it's a deer, but he is loathing being king throughout this episode, and it was delivered with such finesse by Paddy Considine.
Absolutely. The exact same thing. Like he is the standout performance. He had so many good scenes in this. When he was at the fire, he was talking to Valicent about like his dream and everything, and like, is he wrong? Was he wrong in doing what he did? And just that very, very subtle moments like that. And then when he's talking to his daughter Rhaenyra at the end too, and he's like, and they come to an understanding with each other, is like he acted with his heart, and he's like, so like if you were going to do the politically right thing, you would have been with what's the Valerian
betrothed
to the young Valerian daughter, Corlys's daughter, Leona. I think yes, Leona.
Lena,
Lena, that's it.
the
So
Lady
forgot.
Lena.
That's right, Lady Lena. So apologies everybody on that. So I've been up for 24 hours, so good
Woo.
deal there. But Lady Lena, he was supposed to do that, and so he's like, "Yep, you're absolutely right, daughter." So and at that point he loves his daughters. You could tell how much he truly loves his daughter. He's like, find somebody that you want to marry and go for it. And
Yeah.
it's like you will succeed me. Like I'm not going to go back on that. It's beautiful to see him do that and that interaction with his daughter there. Both of us are dads and we both have daughters, and that connection is real, and I love seeing those moments of them together, being able to connect like that. Seeing that kind of like barrier in the beginning of the episode was disconcerting to me. Seeing Rhaenyra run away like a normal teenager. She is a teenager. She's 17 during this episode, so kind of pouting and going off on her way was like, I don't know if that's good. But seeing what she went through during that time in the woods and coming back, it kind of paid off for that whole sequence as well. The only thing I didn't like about this episode, the only qualm that I really did have, was they introduced this new villain in the last episode
Yeah,
with the crab feeder.
that's exactly what I was gonna say, man.
Right.
I'll let you say it. Sorry.
And yeah, what do? Like they use him for Damon's plot line, and he just swords him
Yeah.
up. Don't even show him fighting at all. He just walks in the cave, and then next thing you know, he's dragging half of his body out there, guts spilling all over the floor, and
Because it's HBO.
and that character's done. And they had so much lead up to this character, like this a major shot in the first in episode 2, in the beginning of that episode. It's like, oh, this is going to be a major player. Yeah, so it seemed like they were going to set him up for more, and I guess not. So that's what we got.
Yeah, that was my problem too. Like, if that's all it took, why didn't I mean, this has been 3 years now. Why didn't somebody just walk in the cave and go get him before?
Don't they have assassins? I know they have assassins. So
yeah, and it's not like the strategy there was well thought out. Like, he just bum rushes the beach,
right?
And somehow he doesn't tell anybody, or it doesn't appear that he's telling anybody this. He just rows his boat over there.
Right.
Luckily, somebody got the idea, like, oh, let's all get in our ships and follow him, because he's going to need us at just the right moment whenever he's surrounded.
No,
and
I do think it was planned out. Like, they were talking about that when they were up on that hill in the stepstones and everything. They were talking about having somebody go out there, like, who's going to want to sacrifice
he
himself.
was the bait.
He was the bait. So they did talk about this was the plan. And seeing Lenore...
give him flesh to go after.
And I thought that was an absolute surprising Lenore. I think it's Lenore Valerian. Is it Leonore? Or I'm so bad with these names. But
who are you talking about?
Corlys's son, his oldest son.
Oh, yeah. Right. We get the introduction of him earlier, just in conversation about how he might be a good match, for Rhaenyra, and then there he is in the flesh.
Then we get to see him, and we can tell that he very much looks up to Damon Targaryen, and we see later on when Damon's down there sacrificing himself and fighting all the people, that he is a dragon rider. He can ride a dragon. And I thought that was pretty awesome. That was an awesome reveal. I was like, whoa. So, and it's a different dragon too. It's not Damon's dragon. And I love that, like, each and every one of these dragons looks a little bit different and kind of correlate with the character. Like Damon's has a very long neck, and body as well. That's kind of how Matt Smith looks in a way. He's more gangly.
Got a long neck.
So it's cool to see the different types of dragons too. I love that. So it was really cool to get to see that. I just love seeing dragons. Probably why I'm watching the show.
That part was a little bit confusing for me, because we've heard Corlys in previous episodes say that his family comes from Old Valyria, but they were not dragon riders.
But remember his wife is a Targaryen, so she's got Targaryen blood. So his kids are half Targaryen. So they have old blood back to Valeris. So Valeria.
There you go then.
So that's why he can be a dragon lord. So
Yeah.
a dragon
So
rider.
probably will be a good match then for Rhaenyra,
Yeah,
you know.
and I forget what that character's name is, but the one that keeps giving like gold advice to the king. He's like, I wanted you to marry Lady Lena, and I'm telling you now, you should probably shore up this problem right now and marry off those two kids. And it's just
Hmm.
like, yeah, Viserys, why aren't you listening to this guy? He's
Yeah.
like dead on the money each and every time. Think about it, too, if Viserys did marry Lady Lena, then he probably wouldn't have kids at this point in time either. There would be no threat to Rhaenyra's claim to the crown, except for Damon, maybe. And by the time that Lady Lena's 14, I guess is when they said that they were going to have kids or whatnot in episode 2. Um,
Yeah.
who knows if Viserys would have been alive at that point? So ultimately it might have been the best choice for him to do the politically correct thing, and it would have been better for the two houses, and it.
Mm.
But that hand of his, Otto, he really Otto of Hightower, he really got
Yeah.
him. Got him good, and he's still doing it in this episode. He's still planting the seeds and everything, really trying his best to get the king to come around to having Aegon II become the successor over his sister. So
Yeah.
once again,
I'm just gonna say, it's all the options were disgusting, so I just side on
right, all of them are.
bachelorhood being the answer, but
Yeah, all right.
you
Just be
know,
a swinging bachelor.
yeah. But like he says, he's got a role to play. But
Yeah.
so overall, Chris,
Yes.
all of that being said, what do you think? Episode
Mm.
3, what'd you give? What rating would you give it?
I very much enjoyed this episode. I liked a lot of the elements. I'm excited to see the next one as well. I just, again, like, I keep saying it with these shows. I love these character moments and everything. And so just those intimate little scenes that we have together. Like you said, Viserys, Patty, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But that
Constantine.
Patty Constantine took the gold star home for this episode. He really rode that dragon hard. I don't know. But yeah, he was the all-star of this episode. Just phenomenal. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. What about you, man?
Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me
Gosh, we
too.
just keep
For,
doing
for the
the
same stuff.
same. Yeah.
Uh, well written, well
Mhm.
acted, great
Right.
effects, great action. Um, Questionable whether or not there was just too much in there. Could this have been 2 episodes? I think yeah, but these episodes are also longer runtimes,
Right.
so really you don't want to overstretch the
Mhm.
story. And if they're going to continue doing the time jumps, my guess is they're just going to continue going at this pace. So maybe we're, as the audience, being set up to adjust our expectations for how this story is going to be told. So 8 out of 10
Absolutely.
for
8 out of 10 from the dads here at Fatherly Fandom. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed our podcast today, our broadcast and podcast and show, whatever we're going to call this thing. But if you can, go ahead and get on your dragon and yell out Dracarys and fire up that subscribe button today. It really helps us out. It helps us get out there. I know we got a lot of fans on Facebook. Please subscribe on YouTube if you can. Really helps us out, and we're on all the social medias and all that good stuff that we got going there. So if you can, you can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on Instagram at Fatherly Fandom. You can check us out on Facebook at Fatherly Fandom. It's all there. And I'll put at the end of this, we'll have right here. You can click this one right here, this little note right down here, and subscribe to the channel. And you can, if you want to watch more, over here. If you want to watch more videos, go right over there. I'll have some links over there for you. So that's about it for us. Do you have anything else for us before we depart these lands of Westeros?
Nope, nope. Just keeping looking for more episodes coming out from us about the Rings of Power, House of the Dragon. We got Thor, Love and Thunder coming up.
She-Hulk,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yep, we're doing the more fun version.
Yeah,
Whole
Sunday.
list of things coming out over the next couple of months. So
So much content.
subscribe. Yeah, keep us in mind, and we'll keep content coming your way.
That's right. All right. Adios, amigos.
From our house to yours, have a good one.